Hey, what's up everybody? The new Tsums are here for the month of December, and in this video, I'm going to go over everything you need to know for our first pair Tsum, Rapunzel and Pascal from the Tangle series. Now, there are two different abilities for Rapunzel and Pascal, which I'll get into a little bit later, but I do want to show you the drop rates here. As you can see, Rapunzel and Pascal is very difficult to get. I have all of the premium Tsums maxed out and my drop rate is still 13.33%. And actually, it took me more than 30 plus boxes before I got my first copy of Rapunzel and Pascal. All of the other two new Tsums that I got were at least skill level 5 before I got one copy of Rapunzel and Pascal. So it's going to be very difficult to get at least one copy, if that, maxing her out without using a skill ticket. So let's take a look to see if she's worth it. First of all, this pair Tsum is designed for high score, so let's focus on that first. There are two different abilities. With Rapunzel's ability, what's going to happen is that there's going to be a vertical clear. Essentially, she drops from the top to bottom and you could clear a vertical line. And the cool thing about this is you could actually move her left or right to get her to a position where you want to essentially clear the vertical row. And then secondly, Pascal's skill, what will happen is Pascal will turn yellow and you could also connect her with Rapunzel. And there are three different stages, well, the game calls it stages, but there's three different bubbles that you will make. If you get anywhere between 7 to 13 chains, the bubble will be kind of just regular with the star in the middle. If you get 14 to 21 chains, there's going to be a little bit of a glimmer in this bubble. However, if you get 21 chains or more, this bubble is going to be red and it's going to be super sparkly. So your objective is really to create a chain of 21 or more. And the game makes it kind of sound like that the bubble is going to be a bigger burst, and that's actually not the case. All of the size of the bursts for the special magic bubble are going to be the same. They're going to be about 2 rows or like 2 radiuses bigger, but it's not going to be stronger. What they're meaning by stronger is that you're going to get a higher score. So for example, if you clear a bubble that you made with 7 chain, the score is going to be smaller than if you create the biggest bubble that you made of 21 chains. And that's not necessarily too evident until you start playing the game and you get a higher score. So don't get it confused that it's not going to be a bigger burst, but you're just going to get a higher score. And the bonus here is that if you use Rapunzel's skill to clear the special magic bubble that you made with Pascal, the score is going to be even bigger. So the objective here is really make as many of these special magic bubbles as many as possible and then save them and don't burst them right away. And then use Rapunzel's ability to clear the special magic bubble to get the highest score possible. And again, you're using this Tsum to get a high score. You're not necessarily going for coins. So if you're playing this game or you're really trying to get a lot of coins, this may not necessarily be the best Tsum. So we'll take a look at that a little bit later. But before I go any further with this video, I do want to take some time out to give a very special thanks to these subscribers. These subscribers have given a donation via Super Thanks, so I want to just take my time out to thank you as well for the contribution. And if you would like to join our Tsum Tsum community, consider joining the Line group as well as a Discord server, and both of those invites are going to be in the description below. Alright, so let's take a look at the stats for Rapunzel and Pascal. In order for you to activate Rapunzel's ability, you're going to need to clear a total of 30 Rapunzels off their screen, whereas for Pascal, you only need 14. So clearly it's going to be a lot easier to activate Pascal versus Rapunzel. And keep that in mind because that does come into play a little bit later when we talk about the abilities. Next up is the minimum score. We have 20 for minimum with a maximum of 1,290. So this is pretty good maximum score, so I think that once we get Rapunzel and Pascal to level 50, she is going to be pretty effective. I currently don't have her at level 50 yet. I think I'm at level 20 or so. Once I do get her to level 50, I will do a follow-up video to see how high my score actually is if I get Rapunzel and Pascal to level 50. And if you would like to get her to skill level 6, you're going to need to get a total of 36 copies of her. And with the drop rate so low, it's going to be pretty difficult to try to get her to skill level 6 from the premium box unless you have all of the Tsums maxed out and abundance of coins. Alright, so let's take a look at the skill chart. The clear amount is in reference to Rapunzel's ability, and at skill level 1, her vertical clear is going to clear exactly 20 copies of Tsums off their screen. But if you have her at skill level 6, she's going to clear a total of 30, so the vertical clear is going to get a lot wider, clearing a lot more Tsums. And the bubble effects is in reference to Pascal's ability. At skill level 1, the bubble effect is going to be extra small with a maximum effect of extra large. So what this means essentially is the higher the skill level, the more score boost you're going to get from that bubble. So keep in mind that this bubble effect is not in reference to the size of the burst radius, but it's going to be for the amount of score that you're going to get. This doesn't factor in the type of bubble that you're going to make, because keep in mind that if you make a chain of 21 or more, that boost is going to be even bigger. What I want to show you guys next is a side-by-side comparison of all of the gameplays for skill level 1 through skill level 6. For skill level 1, Rapunzel's clear is going to be 20 with a bubble effect of extra small. Skill level 2, the bubble effect is going to be small, but clears 22 for Rapunzel. Skill level 3 has a bubble effect of medium, and Rapunzel will clear a total of 24 zooms vertically. Alright, so let's talk a little bit about strategy and how to use this pair zoom. So earlier I mentioned that it's going to be a lot easier to activate Pascal's ability compared to Rapunzel. So what you want to do first is activate Pascal's ability and try to make that 21 plus chain. Because keep in mind that if you make a chain of 21 or more, that bubble is going to be a special bigger boost of a score. And then after you make those bubbles, don't burst it right away, because if you are going for score, you want Rapunzel to drop down and burst them. And if you're playing with sound on, you'll hear a special sound when Rapunzel comes down and bursts that special big bubble that you made with 21 plus chain. You'll notice that it does sound different if you are able to burst it with Rapunzel with a bigger burst. Now I did try to play this sim with the gyro on, and to try to tilt the screen to the right hand side so I could burst those special magic bubble all at once, and it doesn't necessarily help too much. It doesn't change the gameplay in any way, because a lot of times the special magic bubble ends up on the bottom anyways, and you could just use Rapunzel to burst them. One other thing that you might want to do is try to get rid of those other magic bubbles that aren't special magic bubbles. They tend to get in the way a little bit and they fall to the bottom. So if you see a magic bubble on the screen already, try to just burst them as soon as possible to get rid of them, and then activate Pascal's ability as often as possible to make that 21 plus chain. And then you always want to save that special magic bubble to have Rapunzel drop down and burst it. And what might be helpful is for me to show you a side-by-side comparison of the abilities activated at the same time, so I can walk you through what's actually happening. When you activate Pascal's ability, what will happen is he will turn one type of zooms on the screen into other Pascals, and you can connect that yellow Pascal with Rapunzel as well. So your objective is to make a long chain as long as possible. Now take a look at this screen here. You'll notice that it's not all connected, and you may have a little bit of difficult time to make that 21 plus chain. So what I recommend you to do is, before you start clearing off zooms off the screen, try to clear off that one other type of zoom that's on the screen. You'll notice here that all the screen is either yellow Rapunzels or yellow Pascals, and then there's one variation of something that's different. So what you'll want to do is clear that one variation off the screen first, so it's a little bit easier to make that 21 plus chain. However, you don't necessarily need to do this if you already spot your long chain, and if you're able to make 2 long chains, that's even better. So take a look at the bubble that I made here. All 3 of these gameplays have the 21 plus chain bubble here, so it's going to be really red. So what you want to do after this is, you don't want to burst it right away, but instead you should try to charge up Rapunzel and then activate her ability and burst it using Rapunzel's ability. And don't forget, you can move Rapunzel left and right to get her into the right position. So if your bubble is not lined up, you can move her left or right, so that way it's in line to burst that special magic bubble as you see here. For this game demonstration here, I only have one special magic bubble, but oftentimes you're going to have multiple of these special bubbles on the screen, and you'll just have to try to maximize the burst area to try to get all the bubbles at once. Here in this case, there's only one, so it's going to be very simple. You just drop it there, and keep in mind, Rapunzel is always going to clear this fixed amount of zooms off the screen. For skill level 1, you're always going to get 20. Skill level 2, you're going to get 22. And skill level 3, you're going to get 24. I haven't gotten more or less here, so essentially just drop it on the special magic bubble, and that's what you should aim for. So that's skill level 1, 2, and 3. So let's move on to skill level 4, 5, and 6. The difference here is Rapunzel is going to clear 26 for skill level 4 with the bubble effect of large. Skill level 5 is going to clear 28 with a bubble effect of extra large, and then finally for skill level 6, Rapunzel will clear 30, and Pascal's ability effect is going to be extra large. So the strategy here is roughly the same compared to the lower skill level. However, you're going to be able to activate a lot more abilities per game, because Rapunzel's vertical clear is going to clear a lot more compared to skill level 1, 2, and 3. Because remember, at skill level 6, the vertical clear is going to clear 30, whereas for skill level 1, you only clear 20. So again, the strategy here is you want to activate the ability as soon as possible for Pascal and create those special magic bubbles. Don't burst them right away until you have your Rapunzel's ability fully charged, and then drop down near or on the bubble. Just make sure that the clear catches the bubble. You'll notice that if you don't have Rapunzel dropping onto the bubble isn't going to shine as bright. It'll turn into like this gray shadowy figure. So what you want to do, you just want to make sure that the bubble is fully lit when you're dropping on the special magic bubble. Sometimes the bubbles aren't going to be in the position that you want them to be, so you'll need to move Rapunzel left or right. And sometimes the special magic bubble is going to be on complete different sides of the screen, and that's okay because you could always use another ability to clear that special magic bubble on the second turn. Okay, so let me show you a side-by-side comparison of the abilities activated at the same time at these higher skill level. So just like the lower skill level, what you should always do is activate Pascal's ability first. And like I mentioned earlier, if you find it difficult to make that long chain of 21 or more, go ahead and clear everything but the yellow Tsums off the screen first, and then create that long chain. So as you see here, one variation of Tsum turned into this yellow Pascal Tsum that could be connected with Rapunzel. This will always happen, leaving you with only one variation of something that's different that you can't connect on the screen. You'll see that for skill level 5, I ended up clearing off some Maries, and for skill level 6, I cleared off some Donalds. And then once you feel comfortable enough to make that really long chain, go ahead and make that chain of 21 or more. So technically the strategy should be 21, and then whatever is left over, you should leave it. That might be a better strategy, which I will test out a little bit later. And after you make those special bubbles, don't burst it right away, and you want to make sure you let your Rapunzel drop down from the top and clear that special magic bubble, earning you a very high score. It helps to be in Fever too, but you see there at skill level 5 I wasn't in Fever, but that's okay. For skill level 6 I was in Fever, and I did burst that special bubble there. And again, you can move them left and right, so just keep that in mind when you are using Rapunzel. So for the clears, it's always going to be consistent. For skill level 4, you're going to get 26. Skill level 5, you're going to get 28. And skill level 6, you're going to get 30. Don't worry about the gaps on the screen. I've noticed that it doesn't really matter. So even if you have a complete gap at the top or at the bottom, left and right, and that's where your vertical clear is, it doesn't seem to matter. You're always going to get this fixed amount. So overall, I think Rapunzel and Pascal could be a good Tsum to use for a high score. However, I don't think that this Tsum is going to be a super popular Tsum because it doesn't necessarily earn a whole lot of coins. This Tsum is not designed to earn you a lot of coins, but instead is to get you a high score. And that's actually something I should touch up on. If you are using this pair of Tsum to try to get as many coins as possible, don't wait for Rapunzel to drop down and burst that special magic bubble, but instead just burst it as soon as possible. You'll get a lot more coins that way. All of these gameplays were set up to see how high I could get the score and not necessarily how many coins I could get. So overall, not really great for coins, and for score, I really need to get them to level 50 to really tell. And this Tsum is not necessarily the easiest for beginners as well, because you do have to think about the strategy when you're playing this Tsum and try to get that 21 chain and really plan it out, and you waste a lot of time if you're not a seasoned player. So this Tsum is not necessarily great for beginners, and because it's only designed for high score, I wouldn't recommend people to try to use their skill tickets to get this Tsum to skill level 6. However, if this Tsum could be a max score setting kind of Tsum, then maybe. I'll let you guys know in a follow-up video once I have this Tsum at level 50. Oh, and one more thing I want to touch up on. Right now, if you are watching this video in the month of December 2023, all of your Tsums that are new this month is going to get double XP, meaning that every single gameplay that you have will earn you double the amount of XP to level up your Tsum. So I hope that they keep this going because it's one of my favorite features. I'm trying to get all of my Tsums to level 50, so that way any sub Tsum that I get is going to be a good one. Alright, so let me show you the results for all 6 of these gameplays. At skill level 1, I earned 1,882 coins, which is okay. And at skill level 6, I got 3,651, which is on the more disappointing side of things. But again, I was playing with the intention of trying to set a high score, not necessarily getting the most amount of coins. Again, if you burst the bubbles right away, you will earn more coins. So you could probably expect somewhere in the 4,000s for skill level 6 if you're playing with the intentions of getting more coins and score. But as for score, skill level 1, I only got 4.5 million, which is on the lower end. And at skill level 6, I got 18.3 million, which is pretty good. And again, keep in mind that my pair Tsum is not at level 50 yet, so I am excited to see how this Tsum perform once I get them to level 50. So that's my review of Rapunzel and Pascal. I hope that you guys found this video helpful or at least entertaining. And if you guys would like to see more Tsum Tsum content just like this, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And as always, thank you so much for watching.